Hello to all the good people. This is your host, Clinton Jiggs, aka Quick Jiggs, and I want to thank you for another opportunity to grace your ears with the Know It All podcast. I want to thank for those who subscribed last week. We're coming into episode 3, and today's episode's title is March Madness. But we want to start the day off. I really want to get you pumped up and really ready to go. So we're building today's show around March Madness and hoping to get you ready for all the challenges that one may face, as we are only 1 day away from the true kickoff of March Madness after the playoff games are occurring later today. So if you're a sports fan, then you already know that it's the best time of year. March Madness brings a lot of exciting games, including nail biters, last minute buzzer beaters, unlikely upsets, underdog teams beating the teams that are favorite. We all love the Cinderella stories and the unlikely rise to the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8 and, of course, the Final Four. So the March Madness NCAA tournament is a wonderful time of year. I thoroughly enjoy it. I think a lot of you do as well. So with everything else in between, and without further delay, let's get started. So, as I've already mentioned, today's episode is really focused around March Madness. So again, first of all, I want to welcome you to the Know It All podcast. The goal behind the show, again, is for us to explore new perspectives and practical tips to help you to live a more fulfilling life. I'm your host, Quick Jiggs, and in this episode, we'll be talking about, again, March Madness and how you can apply the exact same principles of the NCAA bracket to your life's goals. So sit there and think about that for a moment and marinate on it and understand that March Madness, of course, being the huge tournament that it is, where everyone is making a bracket that no one can get perfect, but where these 68 teams are assembled and they compete for the national championship, is starting this week. Again, it goes on for the next couple of weeks. Basically, have games every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for the next couple of weeks. It's single elimination format. So for those that don't know, that means it's do or die situation. You either win and continue, or you lose and you go home. The keys to being able to win in life and in the tournament is understanding your strengths, prioritizing them, knowing your opponent and their weaknesses, and then making sure you have enough stamina to last until the end. So what we're going to do here with today's episode around March Madness is to help you learn how to better apply those exact same principles that all the great collegiate coaches are teaching their players and approaching it with your life's goals. So what if you approached your life and your goals the same way as the teams that are playing in the NCAA tournament? What if you ranked your priorities based on importance and feasibility? Think about the bracket when you do this. What if you use a single elimination format to focus on your top priorities and to also eliminate distractions and time wasters? We definitely want to be more focused on the things that we could do to win. So again, this episode will explore how you can use the NCAA bracket as a tool for self-discovery, as well as goal setting. And we're also going to talk a bit about how to better identify your strengths and your weaknesses and how to break down your goals into actionable steps and how to stay motivated. Because there's going to be times that you go into the half, you're down 10 points. There's going to be times that it's 2 minutes left and you're down 6 and your best player is fouled out. All these different variables are challenges that you can overcome. So whether you're a sports fan or not, there's a lot to learn from March Madness. And more importantly, there's a lot to learn from yourself. Looking at yourself, internalizing your goals, projecting your goals, and then treating them like anything that you would do in the workplace or in a basketball tournament in this example. How you can win your own championship of life. And that's going to bring me to our very first topic of the day, which is everyone loves a Cinderella story. So for those who don't know what a Cinderella team is, as it references the NCAA tournament, it's normally the team that greatly exceeds their expectations. This is the team that achieves remarkable success despite being the underdogs. They might be the 16th, the 15th, the 14th, the 13th, even the 10th seed. and they're the unlikely team to win on any given night during the NCAA tournament. But these teams often capture the hearts, they capture the imaginations of fans around the world, and they do this by defying the odds. They overcome the obstacles that are clearly in their face, and they're able to succeed and reach later stages inside the tournament that, quite honestly, they were not supposed to make it to. So these are the teams that make it to the Sweet 16 and the Elite Eight and so forth. But what about applying the principles of a Cinderella story to your own life and your own goals? And in order to do that, what I did is I put together a few ideas that I feel like really encapture what it's like to shoot for those goals. It really starts with understanding how to believe in yourself. Just like any Cinderella team, you're coming into any challenge with a chip on your shoulder. You know everyone's betting against you, the bookies, the other team, the fans, the commentators, the analysts, they're all betting against you. And that's the same as it is in life. But this means you have to set ambitious but realistic goals and working towards them with confidence and determination. But in order to succeed in doing that, it's really important that you map out how you're going to build your plan. Think about the coach on the sideline. You have to understand the importance of embracing challenges the way these Cinderella teams do. They often face tough opponents, again, unexpected setbacks. They don't give up. They know they have nothing to lose, and that's the way you need to approach your challenges in life. You have to take advantage of your opportunities to learn, to grow, as well as to improve your performance throughout the game. When it comes to you and your goals in your life, when you encounter obstacles on your journey towards your goals, view them as opportunities. Again, if you recall what I mentioned last week around how do I versus I can't, understanding how to use these opportunities to gain experience and become a better version of yourself. Because ultimately, as you build and learn and become better, you're going to find that you can take calculated risk, the same as these Cinderella teams. They might make a bold move and do a full court press against a team that has a deeper bench and much faster players. They might make an unconventional move and shift to man coverage instead of a 2-3 or 3-2. In your life, you can make these same operational changes that allow you to propel to victory. You have to be nimble. You have to be aware. You have to pay attention. So the same way you push yourself outside of your comfort zone in things that you feel confident about that might not correlate directly to your life's goals, have that same attitude about your life's goals. Think outside the box. Do the things that you haven't already done. One of my favorite quotes is, to get what you never had, you have to do what you've never done. But pursuing these opportunities, creating career opportunities or upward mobility in your organization or growth in your relationships in life. Don't be afraid to take calculated risk that can pay off to you in the long run. The next step I think that is really helpful is celebrate your wins. Like every Cinderella team, they win that 64 play-in game, they're ecstatic. They win 32, 16, obviously Elite 8, they're ecstatic. But that's the way you should take and recognize your own accomplishments. Don't always wait for the end goal before you celebrate yourself. You can take incremental celebrations, take the small steps, take the small pats on the back, because these things help you build your confidence, help boost your morale, boost your motivation. And I find that it really gives you a sense of fulfillment that can help inspire you to keep pushing towards your goals with a renewed vigor. But if you only recognize your failures and your shortcomings, those will start to drown out your successes and your achievements, and you'll just be setting yourself up for failure. So, as you think and approach the remainder of this week and go into next week, think about the Cinderella story. Think about how ambitious and focused you have to be to make remarkable success happen in the NCAA tournament. And then think about how you can again apply this same framework in your life as you set your goals, as you prioritize your efforts, and work towards the success that is yours. So again, whether you're a fan of college basketball or not, there is no denying that the power of the Cinderella story can inspire us all. So I want you to inspire yourself to dream big, work hard, and most importantly, don't stop until you achieve your goals to your fullest potential. Now, Cinderella stories are great, but what I find incredibly challenging as you work towards those unconventional stages in life is understanding nobody cares. What do I mean? Nobody cares. I'll say it again. Nobody cares. Nobody is watching you. You have no haters. You have no ops. It's all in your head. You are your own worst enemy. So you have to ask yourself, do you want to be your own foe? Do you want to be your own nemesis? Do you want to be your own competitor? Or do you want to focus on you, and only you? What I've found in my time in coaching people and having conversations and being kind of a voice for others is that once you realize and know that nobody cares, what are you going to do? What can you do to get 1% better every day? What can you do to challenge yourself to be greater than you were yesterday? What are you going to do when you stop making excuses? You are no longer looking for your outs or your reasons to not pursue your goals, but instead you start to find reasons to pursue your goals. What are you going to do? You need to be able to pursue your goals, believe in yourself, and be unrelenting the way fans are for their favorite team. I mean, honestly, we've all met a Cowboys fan. No shade, but maybe a little bit of shade. They haven't won a chip in about 20 years, right? But you ask a fan, that is irrelevant. Every season, fans are ready to go. They're locked in. They're ready to support their team, and they're always expecting that ring. This is our year, right? Trust me, bro. This is our years. But you have to look at your life like that. You have to be relentlessly optimistic and boastful about your expected outcome. If you sit on your hands and you're like, I'll celebrate it when I make it, you're always going to be timid. You're never going to be focused. When we circle back to March Madness and we think about fans of their favorite college team, I'm a diehard Terps fan. We got the 8th seed. I'm hoping we at least make it to the Sweet 16, but we don't play well on the road, so that's a whole nother story. But if you've ever watched the NCAA tournament, you see the diehard fans. They paint their faces. They're wearing the team colors. They're incredibly passionate about their team, and you can't tell them otherwise. They will cheer. They will scream. They will chant for their teams. Even if their team is losing or facing tough opponents, they are going to believe in their team's abilities as late into the game as they possibly can. So when you think about your potential to win and how relentlessly they support their team, that is the way you need to be about your goals. Because remember, nobody cares. Nobody's looking at you. But here's another thing. When it comes to your own life, nobody is going to be a bigger fan to you than you can be for yourself. Again, no one cares as much about your accomplishments. Nobody cares as much about your successes as you do. And that's okay, because ultimately your wins and your losses begins and ends with you. It means that you have to be your own source of motivation, your own source of inspiration. And you have to be willing to sacrifice what it takes to reach your goals. So, what are the steps to become your own biggest fan? If I were you, I would pull out a pad. You can jot these down. But I put together some key tips. It begins with number one, which celebrate your victories, no matter how small. Again, whether you've completed a difficult task at work that took you 10 minutes or an hour, or you reached a personal milestone. Maybe you're working to run a 5K and you just did a great walk run for 10 minutes straight. Take time to acknowledge and appreciate your accomplishments. Everything doesn't have to be a grand slam before you celebrate it. Pat yourself on the back. Give yourself a well-deserved reward. Be careful if you're on a eating right plan. Don't give yourself too big of a reward. Don't eat 2 large pieces and a large shake maybe have 2 slices instead. But moving on. You also have to be able to embrace your mistakes and your failures. You're only as good as your next shot. That's what I was taught when I played basketball in high school. In sales, I learned that you're only as good as your next sale. So that means that your mistakes, your failures, you have to have short-term memory. Think about an NFL quarterback, short-term memory. You threw a pick, get back on the field, short-term memory. Setbacks and obstacles are going to happen as you work towards your goals. But instead of beating yourself up, or of course, worse yet, giving up, learn from your mistakes. Use them as opportunities to grow. Use them as opportunities to improve. Set ambitious goals. The NCAA team, the 16 seed from a no-name division in a small town, they have their sights set on winning the championship. Now, they know they have to win that first game, then that second game, and then that third game, then that fourth game that make it to the Final Four. But they break down their goals and they work towards the larger goal in achievable steps, step by step. Similarly, you should set big, audacious goals for yourself, but also create a roadmap with those smaller milestones. So again, the 64 game, the play-in 32, the 16, the Elite 8, the Final Four. You have to celebrate along the way as you get each one of those victories. Trust me and believe a team that wins in the round of 64 is going to celebrate that victory. They're not going to say, well, let's wait till we get to the championship to celebrate. It's also important that you surround yourself with positive influences. With NCAA fans, we all know like the famous nun at Loyola College in Chicago, who's become like a lightning rod of support for the team, or their community fans. Surround yourself with people who believe in you. You are the company you keep. I'm sure we all have heard the phrase, your network will show your net worth. So surround yourself with people who are like-minded, who support you, who will encourage you, but also people who will check you, who will tell you if you're veering way too far into the wrong direction, who may help pick you up for those times that you can't pick yourself up. But surround yourself with these tips and use them to help motivate yourself, to hold yourself responsible, to become your biggest fan. And again, using the same track line of the dedication of the teams in the NCAA tournament, be a fan of your own self. Be your own source of inspiration. Remember, nobody cares about your accomplishments as much as you do. So it is up to you to be your own cheerleader, your own champion, and to be your own best support. Moving on. Something that I see a lot is everyone likes to talk about their wins. I spent the last 15 minutes or so talking about wins, but let's talk about failure for a moment. We've all been there before, whether it's losing a game, not getting the job you wanted, seeing a project fall apart at work, relationships, whatever. Failure is a part of life, but it's how we handle it that defines us as we move forward toward the various accomplishments that we want to make. Again, as we gear up for the NCAA tournament, we can learn a great deal from the teams that will undoubtedly lose. Some will lose by a blowout, some will lose in the last seconds, but every team has the potential to win it all. But 67 teams will not. They'll face setbacks, losses, disappointments, but the best teams that are guided by the best coaches are the ones that go the furthest in the tournament. But the reason they're able to do so is that they're the ones that use those failures as fuel. They don't let it beat them up. They don't allow it to beat them down. Instead, they look at these failures and they move forward. One of my favorite quotes by one of my favorite Americans in history is Malcolm X. And he had a quote where he said, "Children have a lesson adults should learn. To not be ashamed of failing, but to get up and try again." Most of us adults, however, are so afraid, so cautious, so safe, and therefore so shrinking and rigid and afraid. And that is why so many humans fail. Most middle-aged adults have resigned themselves to failure. Think about that. Think about that. Go find that quote. I'm pretty sure if you Google Malcolm X and failure, you should be able to find it. But think about the willingness of a child. Rather, they're learning how to walk and they fall 13 times and get up the 14th time, or they're trying to learn how to eat, or they're jumping off of things that we as adults don't think they should because it's dangerous. And even if they hurt themselves, they're willing to do it again. Children do not care about failure. They see it as an opportunity. They literally learn from it, I should say, in real time, and they grow from it. But as we mature and we grow up and become adults, we become consumed by being mediocre and safe and avoiding what they perceive. Think about the type of advice you get in life. Go to college, get a safe job. Used to say get a pension, get a 401k, get a job with the government. These are safe things. And it's not that these things are bad, but oftentimes we get stuck in doing these things because they're safe. This is oftentimes fueled by the belief that others care, and we don't want to fall flat on our face in front of others. We're worried that we're going to be judged too harshly for our losses. But instead, if we're quite honest with ourselves, we're really worried that we're going to be judged too harshly by ourselves. Because the truth is, as I hope you recall only a few minutes ago, nobody cares. No one is keeping track of your wins and your losses except for ourselves. When we're so predisposed to worried about other people, we really become doomed by appeasing these people who could care two shits about our successes or our failures. This fear of failure is what keeps us from taking risk, from growing, from pursuing our dreams, and then we blink and you're 65 years old and you're stuck in a rut of doing what you feel you're supposed to do instead of doing what you truly want to do. So my message to you as you unfold and leave today's episode is to embrace failure. Take risk. Don't be afraid to fall. Failure is a part of life, but it's not the end. It's always an opportunity to grow. It's always an opportunity to become better. So take it from these NCAA teams as we get excited and get revved up for the tournament. You're going to see teams overcome failure. They're going to overcome down halves, big deficits, and use these same types of failure to fuel to help you go the furthest you can go. So we're going to wrap up. But first of all, I really hope you enjoyed this episode and found something to latch onto as your motivation. But before we sign off, before I leave you with another episode, I want to share with you another powerful quote that I got from David Goggins' book, Never Finished. And it's a really short quote, but it really resonated with me. So I jotted it down when I was reading the book. But it's small minds and weak people kill big dreams. What does that quote mean? Well, to me, it's a reminder that there will always be people who will try to discourage you, who will hold you back from pursuing your goals and your dreams. It's the analyst that says your team doesn't have a chance in the tourney. It's the coworker, it's the friend, it's the family member who is so terrified of their own failure that they project that failure onto you in what they believe is a way to protect you. They want to keep you in a box. They think it's safe there. They advise you to stay there and to avoid the outside. The outside is scary. It's almost like the Lion King, where you go beyond the shadows and, everything falls apart. But really, if you explore past the shadows, you find that you can navigate and survive there as well. But if you're too afraid, then you're going to stay back and warn everybody else too, because you think you're helping them. But take risk, big and small, and always remember that these people and thoughts are small-minded. And what that means to me is they lack vision. They lack imagination. Maybe they got smacked in the face a while ago and now they're afraid to go back out. We all know Mike Tyson famously said, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. What is your plan once you get punched in the face? Are you determined to take the risk? Are you determined to pursue your own dreams so that you can achieve the goals that you have in life? Or are you going to let the circumstances win? And here's the thing. You don't have to let these people or thoughts define your life or limit your potential. And instead, you have the ability to choose to surround yourself with people who believe in you, people who support you, who encourage you to chase after your big dreams. So no matter how audacious they may seem, every dream starts with one person. Every journey starts with one step. We know all the cliche quotes, but they're all true. It all starts with the person in the mirror. So I want you to challenge yourself as you go through this week to stare into the mirror, point at yourself, tell yourself that if you encounter small-minded or weak people along the way, you will not let their voices resound in your mind. Don't let them get in your head. Don't let them discourage you from pursuing your passions. Remember that everything that has ever been done was impossible before it was done. Remember that their opinions and their attitudes, they say more about them than they do about you. You have the power to rise above their negativity, to keep pushing forward one step at a time. Don't become your own worst enemy. Don't let their words resonate with you. And this doesn't matter who you are, whether you're a student, a professional, an artist, an entrepreneur, anything in between. Remember that big dreams require big hearts, big minds, and we all possess them. It's just a matter of if you're going to exercise those big hearts and those big minds, or you're going to let small-minded and weak people, including ourselves, kill our dreams. So instead of that, let's keep growing. Let's keep learning. Let's keep striving towards your goals. Whatever goal you've been putting off until timing is perfect, take actionable steps towards that goal today. Not tomorrow, not next week, not next month, not in the next 30 days, but today. Take determined steps and move forward. With that, again, I want to thank you for listening to episode 3 of the Know It All podcast, March Madness. Until next time, I implore you to keep dreaming big. As always, make it a great day. And please like, comment, subscribe, and share. And always remember, until next time, make it a great day on purpose.